be talking about the etiology of autism. Now, you may be wondering, what does etiology mean? Etiology just refers to the causes of autism. You may have heard from your colleagues, families, or other people around you that autism is caused by vaccines, genetics, food allergies, and other factors. Today, however, we're going to be focusing on environmental factors. According to the National Research Council, 28% of developmental disabilities are of the environmental origin. So that just means that the different things in the environment are going to cause a lot or a good chunk of those developmental disabilities, which is really interesting. A lot of them can be prevented, however, some of them cannot be. Today, we're going to be talking about just a few of those. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is the parent's age. So research shows that the older the parent, that there is a more and higher chance of developing a neurodevelopmental condition and psychiatric condition. This includes autism spectrum disorders, but it also includes ADHD, substance and bipolar disorders, as well as schizophrenia. This is something that could be prevented. However, if you are struggling with, having a child in conception, this may be unavoidable. However, studies found that the older the mother and the father, so if they are both older, that's going to have an even greater likelihood of the child having ASD. A study did find that when the parents were both younger, the opposite was true, and the child had a less likelihood of having ASD. So the fetal environment. So while in utero, the fetus could be exposed to sex steroids. And according to the research, this increased the risk of ASD. So because the baby took in sex steroids from the parent, there was actually a decrease in the vocabulary size, attention to detail. They had more behaviors and more restricted interests, and more traits of autism when exposed. So that's something to keep in mind when you're working with families, as well as explaining to others, maybe that could be avoided or maybe it won't be avoided. So that's just really important to keep in mind. On the topic of obesity, 20% of adults are overweight. Studies found that children who are born to parents or to mothers who are obese or underweight were at a higher risk of autism. And there was actually a 17% increased risk. There's also environmental chemical pollutants. So one study found that there was actually no association with the mom smoking during pregnancy relating to autism. However, another study showed that smoking did increase the chance of the child having high functioning autism and not low functioning autism, which I found was very interesting. So that's just a really good reminder that there are still studies being done. There's no perfect study, so it's really important to take into account both sides of the studies being presented. Another environmental chemical pollutant is the use of metals. Lead and mercury were the two things that harmed the nervous system the most. Now, you can get these from a variety of different things, including fish, contaminated drinking water. They can be ingested or inhaled. They can be in paint. So it's really important to try and limit your exposure to metals when you are pregnant, or talk to the importance of that about and with your families. When exposed, it showed that children had lower IQs and more behavioral problems, according to the study that is found in the footnote of this. And lastly, we're going to be talking about nutrition. There was a lack of nutrients, specifically lack of vitamin D, and this did have an increased risk of autism. However, there are different therapeutic benefits of vitamin D that can help to subside some of the symptoms and different behaviors of autism. Thank you so much, and please let me know if you have any questions.